Yeah, let the big dog hunt. Hello again, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Kallas Remarks with your host, Joe Staszak right here, Steve Kallas right there. How you doing, my friend?
Oh, good, Joe. Great to be with you as always.
You too. Well, season one is over. March Madness 2 months away, but we still have some unfinished business in the National Football League playoff weekend, super wild card weekend this weekend. I love how they tacked on that name. Before we get to the 6 games this weekend and a Monday night game for once, first time, which is kind of cool. I like that. Let's go back a little bit because I had the Chargers to go to the Super Bowl. I think I had them losing to Tampa Bay. Up and down all year, disappointing. In Vegas, 3-point favorite. If you're Pittsburgh, you're dying because the only way Pittsburgh doesn't get in after they beat the Ravens was if they tie. Both teams, if they tie, get to the playoffs. The Raiders are moving a little bit, and I was surprised that they kept throwing a little. I thought Derek Carr was great. 38 seconds left. Clock is running. Now, I don't know how much they cared about, because if the Raiders win, they play Cincinnati. They lose. I'm sorry, if it was a tie, they would have played Kansas City. I don't know if they cared about that. But I thought conservatively, maybe that clock's going to run down. They're both going to go to the playoffs, shake hands. Pittsburgh's out. And Brandon Staley calls a timeout. I was like, what? What? Way to give them another opportunity. So then afterwards, and I was killing them to anyone who would listen.
All right.
And then afterwards, he says, well, we needed to get 11 personnel in there because that's, we knew they were going to run the ball, and then we needed our proper. First of all, why do you need a timeout to do that? It's a regular game. It's 3rd and 4. Second of all, that's your best defense. They ran for 10 yards on that play. They ran for 10 yards and put them in field goal range. And Brandon Staley's a defensive coach, 29th in the league where his Chargers this year. I almost went through the roof. If I'm a Charger fan, I'm sorry. What are your thoughts on that?
I think he was just looking for excuses. We didn't have our best running defense in, and we just didn't execute. We got him in. We called timeout to get him in. We just didn't execute. And it was so bizarre when it happened. This was not after the game. You were like, oh, no, they shouldn't have done that. It was like, what are you thinking at the time? And don't forget also, before that, in the first half, I think it was, maybe you remember the 3rd quarter, it was early. It was not late in the game. They went for it on 4th and 1 from their own 18-yard line and didn't make it. And I'll go back to the game where he tried 3 times on 4th down. And after the game, he says, oh, no, I don't consider it gambling. 4th and 1 from the 2, 4th and goal from the 1, 4th and 3 from like the 25, which would have been a gimme field goal. And he missed all 3. They made it 1 in that game and they lost the game. So I think he coached them right out of the playoffs.
Right out of the playoffs.
I think he, as much as the lack of execution, got them right out of the. And again, we talked about it before. He's in the class with, I'm going to take Blake Snell out 3rd time through the order. Blew up the World Series chances. He's right there. I don't know if this was an analytics decision, but he's right there with Pete Carroll. Yeah, I'm going to throw the ball. I'm not going to give it to
Marshawn
Beast Mode, who hasn't been stopped on first contact the entire Super Bowl. And these guys all said, yeah, do it again.
I'd do it again.
I'd do it again. So you and I totally believe there's a big place for analytics in football, but at some point you got to look at what's in front of you. You got to see Blake Snell is pitching the game of his life. You got to see that Beast Mode was not stopped on first contact at any point in that Super Bowl. And if he was, it was maybe 1 or 2 out of 20 carries or whatever he has. So too with this 4th and 1 from the 18, the game, it was not late in the game. And this timeout gave them the license to win the game, get the clock down to 0, kick a field goal and win the game. I mean, it's just really, I think the reason they didn't make the playoffs was because of the coach. You can tell me he's aggressive. You can tell me he's a great defensive coach. You can tell me he's
29th in the league. They're 29th in the. That's just at least get that right.
So no, you're totally right. I totally agree. It's mystifying, and I understand this is the age of analytics, but sometimes it's so stupid. I do want to give you one credit before we go to the playoff games, and that's you love Georgia. They won. They covered. I liked Alabama. I think the game changed when their second top receiver was lost. Mechie was lost in the championship, SEC championship. And, you know, once they lost him, I'm surprised. I thought the quarterback was more athletic. He couldn't avoid these guys. I understand Georgia's D guys are athletic, even though they're very big and strong, they're very fast, but he could not avoid anybody back there. And he just didn't make. Now he was down his two best receivers, two best by 100 miles, but he really didn't make many plays. But I thought the game changed when that receiver got hurt. But
I
all
agree.
credit to you. You loved him, as did my buddy Joe Heinzman. And I was like, well, if you two guys love him, there's no way I would even bet on against that. And you were right.
Well, again, once in a while, I might retire on that. I was going to disappear for a while. You might not be seeing me today because Twitter, anyone who would listen, it was my 10 million. I upgraded it to my 10 million star lock in 8 galaxies and 6 parallel universes. And people laughed at me, but
Hey, 3-0. You were
might
3-0.
retire on that.
You were 3-0 in the college football playoffs, undefeated against the spread.
Oh yeah, I wish I would have. Well, we'll see. But yeah, it was an interesting game. 9-6 midway through the third, and they explode. I guess if you had the under, you're pretty pissed off. But let's get back to the NFL. We have 6 games this weekend, and I do love the playoffs. We'll start with, interestingly enough, I think this is an interesting game. The Raiders are at Cincinnati now. Bengals lost last game of the season. Didn't matter. Joe Burrow before that, almost 1,000 yards in the 2 previous games. The Raiders, I believe, won their last 4 games. So they're hot, and they needed to, and they won in Indianapolis. We might chat a little Carson Wentz. That's 2 franchises that hate him now. They've been playing lights out, and again they won, and they had guts and Derek Carr again to get that field goal. So they're not in KC, but they played the Bengals in an interesting game. I think this could be a high-scoring game. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think it will be high scoring, but I do like the Bengals, but I like the Raiders to cover. They're getting 6.
I do too. Yeah.
Their tight end, apparently tight ends have they have a great tight end, and he's playing, and Cincinnati's not very good against tight ends. They've had some weapons come out of the woodwork after the whole Ruggs, fiasco. They've been through a lot. And it was interesting. Bisaccia, the coach, they asked him after the game. He goes, yeah, we talked about just running out the clock and getting the tie. But then we had the one running play to maybe get a field goal, and we got yardage, so we kicked the field goal.
Yeah, because they called timeout.
Yeah, right. I think he's done a good job. But I just think Cincinnati, too much firepower. Boyd's a forgotten man on that team. He's their number 3 receiver, and he's real good. T. Higgins, and of course, Jamar Chase. So think of the team they had with Burrow at LSU and Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson. I think they're the 2 leaders in the league in yards this year. So I do think Cincinnati will have enough, but I think the Raiders have a chance, and I think it's going to be a close, like a field goal game. So I'll pick Cincinnati to win, but I'll take the 6 with the Raiders. How about you?
Yeah, no, I think so as well. Of any game that could be an upset, I think Cincinnati has kind of gotten rid of the hiccups. And remember, after that big win in Baltimore, they lose to Mike White and the Jets, and then they stumbled again the next week. I think they're right. I think Joe Burrow's the real deal, but I do like Derek Carr, and I like the way they've been playing. They're hot coming in. I would not be shocked if I see an upset, and usually the team that covers wins the game anyway, but I do think Raiders cover. I think that's enough points for a team that can score points, can run the ball. And again, I look at quarterbacks. Now I'll take Joe Burrow. But Derek Carr, to me, the way he's played this year, not far behind. I like the way that they've responded to the John Gruden thing and winning 4 games down the stretch, including that one in Indianapolis on the road. So you and I are together on that, going with the Raiders in that game. Now, the next game, let me see where the next game is.
Patriots at Buffalo.
Oh, yes. The third time these 2 teams will have played this year. The first one was that game where Mac Jones threw the ball 3 times, 2 of 3, but they ran for over 200 yards. Buffalo still had opportunities to win the game, turnovers in the red zone. I think they were 1 for 4. And then the rematch game, Buffalo handled them nicely. I'll give you my thoughts in a second. After winning those 7 games, the Patriots tailed off a little bit. And Mac Jones is a rookie. You know how I feel about rookies. What are your thoughts on this game?
Yeah, it's Mac Jones has regressed. Now he was playing excellent defenses, but 2 interceptions against the Colts, 2 interceptions against the Bills. But I will say this about the last Bills game, which they won 33-21, and everybody made that out to be like a big win. And I mean, it was a big win, but a wide margin win. But in fact, you'll recall, I think it was like a 4 or 5 point game. It was close. It was a 1 possession game. And Allen came out after the Patriots had scored, and the first pass he threw went over the head of the receiver and hit J.C. Jackson in the hands. And he's got great hands in like 7 or 8 interceptions this year, and he just dropped the ball. If he catches that, it's a totally different game. I think I'm not only taking the points, I'm picking, and this might be affected by my son, of course, but but I'm taking the Patriots to win outright because it's got to be impossible to play Belichick 3 times. And this game will actually be closer to the crazy win game because it's going to be like 5 below wind chill or something, like 2 degrees or something. And I don't know, did you hear the Josh Allen, my toes get frozen and I have trouble when it's cold? And
I heard that.
so
Someone suggested taking Viagra. It opens up the blood vessel. Take a Viagra.
Right. I don't think he's doing that, but I think he should have never said it. He should have never talked about it.
Would have never said that.
I see, yeah, they should carry ice cubes in their pockets when they tackle him, throw it at his feet, just put ice on his feet and hold him down. Just kidding. But the stat I heard on ESPN, which is more important, is that in games at 32 degrees or below, in the last 15 seasons, Josh Allen has the second lowest completion rate, 50%. Wow. He's only had 5 games like that. You would think in Buffalo, it'd be a lot more, but he only has 5 games like that, but he's only completed 50% of his passes. That's a big deal. And if the Patriots can run like they did in the first game, and you knew they were going to run, I think they can win. And Belichick always has something up his sleeve. But if Allen can play like he played in the second game, he was unbelievable. But I don't think he can, though, because it's going to be like 2 degrees temperature, -5 wind chill. I mean, the notion that the NFL put a game on Saturday night in Buffalo is just beyond stupid.
Beyond stupid.
But I think the Patriots might thank him after the game because, you know, I'm going to guess it's going to be like a 15-degree differential between the afternoon and the night there, maybe more. But I'll take the 4, and I like the Patriots to win the game outright.
Good for you. Interesting. I don't like rookies, especially at the quarterback spot. It's not that I don't trust him necessarily. Now, listen, he played for a big college. He played in big games, won a national championship. He's no stranger to the spotlight. He works in a great system, great offensive coordinator, and Josh McDaniels, and Belichick always has something up his sleeve. But I like Buffalo, and I was going to say this at the end. I like them to go to Super Bowl this year. To be honest with you, I think they're going to kind of get their stuff together. And I like the quarterback. I like Josh Allen. I agree. It's cold. He was fabulous in the last game. Some of those underhand throws and critical plays. I just think, and I think, I'm not going to say it's one of those you call it the Joe Staszak line. I thought the line would be 3. It's 4. It's a little bit higher. I'm not sure if that's going to sway me, because I think it could be close. But I'm going to go Buffalo to cover in this game. I like Josh Allen until I see that he really can't play because his toes are swollen in the cold. It's in Buffalo. I think this might be the year because they've been pretty good the last couple of years. You know, Bills Mafia and all that defense and stuff, but they haven't been able to get past the hump in Kansas City and whatnot. Lost to Jacksonville a few years ago in a tight one. I think this is the year they advance and. Again, rookie quarterback versus maybe a top 10 quarterback. I'll go with the Bills, but that's just me. All right, let's see. So we agree on one, we disagree on the other. So that brings us to, love this, Eagles and Bucks. Last time these two teams played, October 15th, I took my daughter and it was a blowout early, and the Bucks in the red zone. We're just killing the birds. I took the Bucks. I think we both did, to win and cover easily. It was a 6.5 point line. And then they took their foot off the gas, let the Eagles come back. They covered with some ridiculous 2-point conversion. That's what happens when you check games. But that wasn't that close. It was when the Eagles were not good. I'm not saying they're great now, but and in the red zone. Now I know that people think, well, they're vulnerable, Tampa Bay. They're without Antonio Brown. They're without Chris Godwin, who never met a pass he couldn't drop last year in the playoffs, but that's beside the point. He is a good receiver. Fournette's back. They have Gronk. OJ Howard's a third string tight end. He should start on most teams.
Right.
And they're great in the red zone, and they have Brady. I'm going to throw this to you first, but aside from that game, that regular season game, the last time they played, the Eagles did win the 505 yards in the Super Bowl. It doesn't mean anything now at this point, but I think they're a little more vulnerable than they were last year. But their first game last year, Tyler Heineke, he kept the game close. It was the closest game the Bucs played. I'm not saying that's going to happen again. It's going to be nice weather. I like the Bucs. Your thoughts?
Well, I like the Bucs to win the game, but I'm going to take 8.5 with the Eagles. I could see them down 15, score a late touchdown, something like that, because the Eagles kind of turn games into scrums. They just have the ability to do it.
And they play hard till the end, and they tend to score a lot of points late.
And also what you're looking for late in the season, as you know, is a great rushing game. And they have a great rushing game. And I think the key and the problem for the Eagles, I think, is Shaq Barrett and JPP are coming back. I don't know if they're 100%, but they're coming back. And they're excellent at, keeping the quarterback in the pocket. And Jalen Hurts is dangerous when he gets outside. And he's also become a better pocket passer. So I do think they're much better than they were in week 6. And I think you're right, exactly what happened. They were getting blown out 28-7. Tampa Bay took their, foot off the gas. But they don't have Godwin. They don't have AB, who could replace Godwin, but lost his mind or whatever happened. But they still have, as everyone's now saying, the new saying this week, they have 2 guys who will be wearing gold jackets one day, Joe. Have you heard that one yet? They have Gronk and they have Evans. So that means they still have 2 great wide receivers. And Gronk lately, he had that one game like 4 or 5 games ago, he dropped a few passes. And my son was like, there's something wrong with him. And since then, he's been off the charts. You throw it to Gronk, he catches it. You know what I mean? Doesn't matter if there's 1 or 2 guys there. So I still think Tampa's going to win. Fournette's back. They're getting healthy. I don't know if David's playing, but David's a key to stopping or at least limiting the Eagles' running game. And I think Barrett and JPP on the corners might be able to limit Jalen Hurts' running game. And if they can do that, again, I think they're going to win. But I'll take 8.5 under the same, they're down 10. They have to kick a late field goal. They're down 15. They score a touchdown. I think the Eagles do have the ability, and they're good up front, not great in the secondary. They do have Darius Slay. I don't know if he's going to be one-on-one with Evans, but you can see Brady the last couple of games trying to fit these new guys in. Perriman, who had that incredible game-winning overtime catch. I don't know if Grayson's going to play, but he's real good. He's got a hammy. But they're getting a lot of guys back. And unlike last year, they're not healthy. The one thing I will say about health in Tampa Bay, their offensive line has had one guy miss one game the whole season, and that's it.
Wow.
So I do like Tampa Bay, but I'll take the points again. I know it's weird to take the points and pick the other team, but 6 is a lot. 8.5 is a lot. So I'll go Tampa to win the game, but I'll take the Eagles plus 8.5.
That's not a bad call. I mean, the Eagles have been very good against the spread this year. Maybe the worst first quarter team in the league in the last quarter of the season. Here's the thing they can't do is start out slow. And they started out slow against Washington twice and the Giants. They were down 10, 7, 13, came back over the course of the game. The better team won, but they can't do that against Brady. I mean, Brady, especially in the red zone, Brady's deadly. If that happens, if they're down 14-0, well, then that kind of takes the running game out of it a little bit, which they do have the best running game in the league, 160 yards per game, versus the top passing game in the league, 308 yards for Tampa. They're going to have to start slinging it if they get down. So that they have to be careful, but they have to start strong. I don't know what the problem has been recently, but that's the key to the game, in my opinion. All right, the next game is the 4:00 game, 4:30 actually. Interesting matchup here when we go back to the days of the catch and prime time and Aikman and the boys, Jimmy Johnson. The 49ers coming off a 17-point comeback on the road in LA And they're playing the Cowboys, who have won, I think, 4 of their last 5 or 5 of their last 6. I mean, the last game was kind of meaningless, but they've also been a little up and down. Have the Cowboys? They lost to Arizona. The only decent team they played in the last 4 or 5 weeks was Arizona. Lost at home. Lost at home to Denver. Lost at home to the Raiders on Thanksgiving. They've been a little up and down. I love the way they draft. I've always said this much better than we do, but they never, they're always like 8-8 or maybe 10-6 and can't get out of their way, can't take it to the next level. I kind of like the Niners in this game, the way they're playing. Jimmy Garoppolo, he's not elite, but I think he can win some games. They are a 3.5-point dog. I like Frisco in this game on the road to win the game. Your thoughts?
I'm with you. I totally like San Francisco. I've never been a Dallas believer. I gave Dak all the credit in the world that very first week when he played out of his mind against Tampa Bay and almost beat them. But it's a tale of 2 seasons for them. They won all these games at the end, but who did they play? They played everybody in their division. And the last game was a joke. The Eagles didn't play anybody. And also, Arizona, who I know we'll talk about, Arizona fell off a cliff. They were like 1-4 in their last 5. The only team they beat was Dallas.
Yep.
So I'm not a Dallas believer, and I am a 49ers believer after watching the Rams game. And I think Deebo Samuel is the most Swiss Army knife player in the NFL. Everybody's saying, oh, he's the first wide receiver to score 8 touchdowns, running, but he's a running back too. He can do it both. So Kittle might be the best tight end if he's not he's the second best tight end. And Jimmy G played hurt and he played well. I give him a lot of credit. Everybody had signed him off. Lance was going to be the quarterback 4 weeks in. And I'd like the 49ers straight up. I'm not sold on Dallas. They played in a pretty bad division still, not as horrific as last year. Ezekiel Elliott never was Ezekiel Elliott. Pollard's really the main running back now. They lost Gallup. They still have a lot of weapons. They certainly can win. But I'll take the 49ers. They're more physical, and they've been through a lot already just to get there. And to me, Dallas danced through the end of their schedule because it was a weak schedule. And again, they were facing an Arizona team that won 1 game in their last 5, and that was the game that Arizona won. So I'll take San Francisco straight up as well.
All right, we're on board with that one. 8:15 game. I love the 3 games on Sunday. Steelers at the Chiefs. Big line here. Right now it's 12.5. I think it was higher than that earlier in the. I think it went off. It started at. It opened at like 13.5. Chiefs have been hot. They were awful earlier in the year, but they won some of those close games that you were just like, "What's up with Patrick Mahomes?" But at the end of the day, he almost threw for 5,000 yards this year. He threw for over 4,800. That's a bad year for Patrick Mahomes. So I think they have their stuff together. I know Darrell Williams is banged up, but I like both of their top 2 running backs are questionable. But Pittsburgh is like last in the league against the run game. I don't like the Steelers that much. Roethlisberger, I know he's kind of on his last wheels, and he's won some games down the stretch, but 151 yards here, 160 yards there. They don't have that big play capability anymore. Defense is very tight, except against the run, but they are good against the pass. I like the Chiefs in this game. I think the line is also higher than I thought it would be. I thought it would be like 10, maybe 9.5. I'm leaning towards the Chiefs to cover this game and maybe like 28-13.
Yeah, I don't have much to say here. I think it's a blowout for the Chiefs. I think the Steelers are the luckiest team. I think the last weekend they had a 10% chance of making the playoffs. And they all must have been sweating when it was tied with 38 seconds left in the game. Maybe Staley bailed the Steelers out also by calling that timeout. So they made the playoffs. They're lucky to make the playoffs. I think half the team was probably looking for the door this weekend.
Yeah.
They might have been like, we have like no chance to make the playoffs. Let me get a golf tee time. Maybe I'm wrong, but I like the Chiefs, and I just think it's a blowout. I don't even think they're gonna stop the passing game either, because now they're clicking on all cylinders. And so I'll go Chiefs heavy and minus the 12.5 or whatever it is.
Yeah, no, I'm with you on that, bro. The last game we want to do is the Monday night game. Interesting. I like the NFL doing that, spread it out a little bit. Give me 1 sec. I just have to plug this computer in. Run a little low on battery. There we go. And there we go. Much brighter. All right. This is an interesting game. I thought, to be honest, I mean, anytime to me in the last game of the year, you're jockeying for that number 2 spot, and you blow a 17-point lead to a division foe at home. And there's a difference between playing 40 and choking. I thought Stafford choked at the end. It looked like he was underthrowing. When you're underthrowing, you're tight. It tells me you're tight. You don't have the confidence, and you're concerned about failing, and it's kind of like a self-fulfilling prophecy. I'm not saying because he's 0-3 in the playoffs, he's not going to be able to win a playoff game. I actually like them because I don't really like what Arizona's done except for that game against Dallas. I look at the quarterbacks. I'm still going to go Stafford. I think they, even though Arizona on the road was incredible this year, I'm going to go Stafford. I think the line, again, I thought it should be like 2.5 or 3. It's like 4.5. I'm going with the Rams in this one. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I'm going with the Rams too, not because we talked all year about how we don't think Stafford can come up on the big day and the big play. He's looking for his first playoff win, 0-3. This is, believe it or not, Kyler Murray's first playoff game. And the biggest problem for him is DeAndre Hopkins is not coming back for the first week. Remember, they kept him out. He'll be ready for the playoffs. He'll be ready for the playoffs. He'll be ready for the playoffs, but he's not ready for this game. And I think the Rams are just going to be able to kind of contain Kyler Murray. He's a very tough guy to contain, but they have a great defensive line. And I think they have enough weapons. Cooper Kupp's the best receiver in football this year, period.
Oh, totally.
And I'm worried about Stafford, but I'm not going to say, and I think you're right. He hasn't been big in big moments. Look at the 49ers game. They were playing for the number 2 seed to not play Arizona. You don't want to play Arizona because they're dangerous, but without Hopkins coming back, JJ Watt is coming back. But like everyone says, he had a surgery after like game 6. How good is he going to be? How many things can he play? I do want to read you one headline that's hysterical. I don't know if you heard this, but Eric Weddle is coming out of retirement to play in this game for the Rams. And here's what he said. Eric Weddle, Raheem Morris, who's the defensive coordinator, Raheem Morris asked if I'm fat and out of shape. I said, no, the Rams signed me. So that kind of shows you how desperate they are.
Wow.
But, I think they're a different team without DeAndre Hopkins. I think that led to Arizona going, I think it was 1-4 their last 5. And again, the only team they beat was Dallas. So I think that's a big negative for Dallas. So I like the Rams -4 as well. So we're pretty close. We don't have them all together. I picked 4 underdogs. I think I might have picked 4 underdogs all year, but I think a lot of these teams can cover. And I think 2 of them can win, the 49ers and kind of a nod to the Patriots, because you just expect Belichick to come up with something the third time around.
I agree. So in summary, we both like the Raiders with the points. We split on the Patriots and Bills. You like the Pats. I like the Bills. You like the Eagles. I like the Bucks. We both like the Niners to win the game outright. I think we both like the Chiefs. Yeah. And I'm sorry, the Rams Cardinals. Your pick on the Rams Cardinals?
Rams.
So, okay. So we only differ on 2 games. We shall see. Hey, great stuff as usual, my friend. You have a great weekend. We'll be texting. You can catch Steve Kallas's stuff on his Facebook forum page. Speaking of sports with Steve Kallas, you can also check out his videos, westchestercountypost.com on YouTube. You can check out this podcast on YouTube each week and on my Facebook page. You can follow me on Twitter at Joe Staszak 975. Have a great weekend, everybody. Enjoy the game. Steven, great stuff, man. Talk to you soon.
Always a pleasure, Joe.
You too, pal. All right, thanks, folks. Enjoy your weekend. Be safe. God bless. We'll talk to you next week.